Kristen, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Not
How are
too
you?
bad. I am doing phenomenal. It's kind of a crappy day outside, so
Yeah,
I keep trying to be on the positive side of things because it would be really easy to complain a lot about today.
Yes.
So before we get started, just a reminder on everything we've gone over before. I am a mandated reporter, and I know that it's not always the clearest thing when I explain this to clients, so I want to be positive that you understand what that means. I know I've said it so many times, but if you tell me of situations where you are thinking about harming yourself or someone, I will kind of steer the conversation towards that, and then kind of determine if you have a plan for what you are going to do, because there's a really big difference between feeling certain things and wanting to act on them, if that makes sense. I am also required to report if you tell me that there is a kid who is being abused or neglected. I am required to report that. I would make a report to DCF first, and then follow through with that. I typically tend to sit down with clients in situations like that and let them know that I'm going to do that. It's really important to me to keep that open. I don't feel like in this moment you are at that point, so we don't need to worry about that now, but in the future. Just wanted to be sure we were clear. Do you have any questions?
Nope, I think you covered it.
Awesome. So how were you able to do any of the mindfulness stuff we talked about last week?
I didn't necessarily do like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing you mentioned, but I did a couple deep breathings just to calm myself down for certain situations, and like separated myself from different people that were causing more anxiety provoking things, and so through that I was able to kind of calm back down and get in a better headspace just from the breathing.
So you feel like it worked doing the breathing?
Yeah, I think it was a good benefit.
Awesome. So is that something that you'll keep doing in the future?
I think so, just when I know that things are getting escalated and I can feel like my emotions rising and possibly getting out of control, not like crazy out of control, but enough for me to feel uncomfortable that it can be okay to go and like go to the bathroom and take a couple deep breaths just to get like refocused and recentered, and then go back. So I'm not working based on emotion. I can really focus on what I'm doing.
Right. So do you feel like that's happening a lot lately? I know that you're at a place in like your school and your internship where things are stressful, kind of is the way that you've told me in the last few months that we've been talking. So back to my original question, do you feel like it's happening often that your emotions are rising?
I know like in October I had a point where I just kind of broke, and then this past week I kind of had that same reaching point, so I know my body is not responding to the stress very well because I'm holding so much in. So I think taking those moments more frequently to take a deep breath or just to be mindful of my situations, kind of with the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or just sitting in quiet and not thinking about things would be really helpful from here until like graduation, just to make sure my body is doing okay and checking in with myself more frequently.
Right. What emotions would you say that you cycle through in those times?
I would say anxiety is one of the top ones. Also frustration, anger sometimes. Kind of sadness too. So maybe those top 4.
Okay. So anxiety, anger, sadness, and what was the fourth one? Frustration, which is, I mean, those all sound like really normal emotions to go through in times like that. I think that the big thing is trying to find ways to stay positive, and not every situation is going to have a silver lining. There are going to be some that just suck, and that's the way that it ends up being, and that always is terrible. But to be able to find things in your day to focus on that are a little more on the bright side can kind of help get through those situations, because the breathing doesn't always work. I mean, that's something that's been known to lower your anxiety, lower frustration and stress, but there are some days that things are just too heavy. And so I have something that we could have you try if you would like to. We have this thing that's basically like a positive thoughts journal. You go in and you like keep track of, you know, a certain number of really good things that you can see in each day. And so on those days when things are super frustrating and maybe the breathing techniques aren't working, this could be a habit that you get into that helps you see the good things from the day. So essentially what you would do is you could start out in the beginning with taking 5 things at the end of each day that you saw that were good in the day, that were positive and that you enjoyed. And then you'll write them in your journal each night before you go to bed. And that way you can look back and it really gets you critically thinking about, you know, how the things that you experienced that day and like the good things, and keep that focus off of the hard things. Do you think you'd be willing to try that?
Yeah, I've done something similar in the past, and I know I really like that. Just like kind of praying and thanking the Lord for the good things that have happened during the day, and then like keeping that visible for me to see. So I think that would be something good to try again.
Right.